Story 1. Would I be the a-hole if I leave my husband's affair baby with my mother-in-law while the rest of us go on vacation? My 38 female husband, 48 male, has a child from an affair he had a couple years ago. I forgave my husband, but I cannot force myself to see his son as my stepson. The custody arrangement is that my husband has him every other week. Christmas and most Christmas vacation this year falls on the days that he has him. I have an annual trip that me and a few other housewives put together for all of the families. His ex-mistress Leah is refusing to take him for just this week. I told her she's being selfish and that she should want to spend Christmas with her son. She said that so should my husband. My husband agreed with me, so we decided we would drop him and his presents off to my mother-in-law. When Leah found out, she was furious and she said I'm being selfish. I told her she's the last one to be talking about being selfish, and she has so much control over what my husband does with the child during the time he has custody of him. My oldest daughter, 18 female, told me she agrees with Leah and that there's no reason why he's being punished for their affair. I told her to stay in a child's place and that if she keeps this up, she'll be joining him. Wow. So I was just like a little bit sympathetic to you, sort of, in the beginning, but in the end, telling your 18-year-old daughter to like stay in a child's place, or else you're gonna join him. Like, no, someone voices their opinion and she's 18 and you're acting like that. No. Also, to say like your husband is trying to be a father to this child and you're like, yeah, fine, but he's not my stepson. It's not the kid's fault. And is it? I don't know if technically it is because it's not from another marriage. I don't know exactly how that works, but still, that seems just a little bit cold. And that's your prerogative. You do whatever you want. But no, like if you knew ahead of time that your husband was going to have him for this week or whatever, you should have kind of planned around that a bit. It's not the kid's fault. So I don't know. I don't know if you're an a-hole or not, but you're not the nicest either. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for doing weird, awkward poses whenever my mother-in-law accidentally walks in on me in the bathroom? So, my mother-in-law, I'm a gal by the way, LOL, came to stay with us for a few weeks till her home is renovated for Christmas. The problem is that she's been randomly walking in on me while I'm in the bathroom. Thankfully, not once has she seen me naked because I started picking up on her behavior after the second time in a week. She barges in, then turns and says, "Oh, sorry," then closes the door. I tried talking to my husband about it, but he keeps ignoring me, then flat out said, "So what if she accidentally saw you naked? She's family." He seriously said that. We have a lock, and I could have used it, but I have past trauma from the idea of locking/being locked in a room after my brother locked me in the bathroom when I was 5. So I came up with this idea. I'd go inside the bathroom pretending to use it and wait for her to come, because honestly, it's deliberate at this point. When she accidentally barges in, she sees me in a weird, awkward position. For example, doing a ballet stand, standing on the toilet, or standing facing the wall with my hands up. Fully clothed, of course. I could see how awkward and weird this would be for her because she's standing there for a few seconds trying to figure out what I was doing. It was hilarious at first, seeing her initial confusion, but she told my husband about it, claiming she caught me practicing rituals in the bathroom. I cleared things up and revealed the reason why. My husband was livid. He called me childish and said that I made his mom feel terrified and weirded out by my behavior. He said I should have acted maturely and locked the damn door instead of playing mind games. No, mama's boy, you should have acted mature and talked to your mother about her having no respect for someone's privacy in the bathroom. Don't be like, "So what? She's family." No, you stand up to your mom, actually talk to her, quit being a little like, "But my mommy," no, and don't get mad when what she's doing is innocent. She's taking goofy poses and your mom's like, "Satan!" That's not on this person, that's on your mom. Seriously, mom's being weird. That's weird. If it's a bathroom and the door is closed, and most bathrooms you can see some light coming through even, but whatever. Still, don't just walk into bathrooms, especially when it's not your house. If you close the bathroom when it's not in use in your house, so you're just used to that, fine, you're somewhere else. Have a little bit of, decency and be polite. No, I'm sorry. This mom and her goober of a son need to chill out and stop it. Story 3. Got a restraining order approved for my next-door neighbor yesterday. Now his car alarm is blaring every couple hours. Is this violating the order? My husband and I got a restraining order approved against our next-door neighbor yesterday. He was harassing us and threatening us to make things really, really bad after his property sustained damage from a downed tree limb on the border of our property. He did not take the news of the approved order well in court, showed up to contest, and was nearly held in contempt of court for backtalk. Now, 30 hours after the restraining order is in place, he's standing in his kitchen window with his keys, pushing the car alarm for his vehicle over and over again. He did it from 9 to 9:45 p.m. and again at 12:30 a.m. God knows when, thank the Lord for sound machines, and was still doing it at 5:50 a.m. when I woke up. Now, 6:30-ish. I have all of this on video as his kitchen window faces our home. We are a one-way recording consent state. You can clearly see him in the kitchen window at 9 and 12:30, but not at 5:50. He's woken up my 2-year-old several times already. I'm 8 months pregnant and do not need this stress. He clearly is not taking the order seriously, and I'm freaked. He's also a well-known volatile alcoholic. Does this count as harassment? I mean, first, you have recording in proof, so good on you there. And second, whether or not it's violating a restraining order, I have no idea, but most cities have, noise ordinances and stuff like that. And if he is willfully activating the alarm on his car throughout the night, well past the hours, where there are noise ordinances, I think most cities say, you shouldn't be making really loud noises after 9 or 10 or something like that, then yeah, you could just get him called on that stuff and have him paying some fines or whatever. Or, I don't know, pray to Zeus that he strikes his house with lightning because this sounds like a real butthole. I don't like him. God, what a childish dink. Story 4. Sent new neighbor to the police station for a few hours. We live in an apartment block and occasionally have new people move in and out. Yesterday, we encountered a new resident, a short red-haired lady who, through dwarfism and food, manages to be about as wide as she is tall. My boyfriend greeted her with a simple, hello. He also tried to say, welcome, but she cut him off with, shut up, I don't know you. Okay, not the sociable type, neither are we. Let's not get friendly then. Today, when returning from grocery shopping, we found her trying to pick the lock with what looks to be a piece of paperclip because, that's gonna work. And she's apparently been at it a while because before we could open the door with our key, a patrol car stopped and an officer called out to her. We stopped to watch because, it was happening. The officer asked her why she was breaking in, to which she responded she lived there. She turned to us and said that they know me. The boyfriend smiled and said, I don't know you. We entered the building after the officer asked us to confirm, and the boyfriend repeated, we don't know her. Can't wait to have more contact with her. Okay, it's one thing to, not want to get to know your neighbors and be kind of antisocial, and who knows what she's been through, whatever. She says, shut up, I don't know you, and you're like, all right, fine. You don't like to talk to people? Neither do we. But then when the police are questioning her and being like, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, I live here. They can confirm this. And you're like, nope, enjoy the police. She was kind of rude, but you're literally getting her in trouble with the law and stuff. I don't feel like these things quite equal out. This feels maybe a little bit too harsh of a rebuttal to her rudeness. I don't like that. Story 5. Boss is going to keep asking me to work shifts when I take time off. How about I take a permanent vacation? Disclaimer. I tried to keep it as short as I could, but it still turned out pretty lengthy. No, too long didn't read. Read it or don't. This is the story of my former employer. I work in the Northeast U.S., and my employer at the time was a very small company, boss, and 5 employees in a very specific industry where 90% of our work was on construction sites, and finding a well-qualified person in this very specific industry is a very, very hard thing to do. My boss was the kind of boss that every employee hates. Corners were cut every possible way in order to keep overhead costs down. On top of that, he would constantly overbook on jobs, like signing contracts for 6 projects during the same week, knowing full well that he only had 5 employees, which would result in the employees often working 14-hour days or more, which really sucks when you're on salary, no overtime. His worst attitude by far was approving time off and then during your time off calling or texting you asking if you would be willing to work a day or cut your vacation short. Sometimes he'd even ask you to move your time off to the next week or next month when the workload lightens up. Hint, it never lightened up due to his constant overbooking. After working at this company for 6 years, I got used to all the aforementioned annoyances. But then things changed. My son was born. In the months leading up to his birth, I made it very clear that I would be taking a 5-week unpaid leave of absence once he arrived. The state we're in allows new parents to take up to 8 weeks of unpaid leave. I told my boss that I know 8 weeks would be a huge strain on such a small company, so I was willing to take 5 weeks. But those 5 weeks would be completely off the grid, meaning don't call me, don't text me. If you're going to ask me to do anything work-related, the answer will be no, so don't bother. I'm going to be spending time with my family. He 100% agreed. Fast forward to my son's birth. He was born on a Friday, and after a short stay in the NICU, don't worry, he's fine, was released on Monday, and we took him home. Tuesday morning, the next day, I woke up to a missed call, an email, and 3 texts, all from my boss asking me to call him back ASAP. For reasons still unknown to me to this day, I call him back and he tells me there's a slight emergency, code speak for he screwed up the scheduling and has a job with no employee at it, and asked if I could maybe come into work that day and maybe work a couple more days that week until he finds someone to cover it. I lost it. I literally felt something in my neck snap and unleashed a verbal assault on him that I still feel bad about now a year later. I started my rant with an apology, as much of a D-move as it was for him to be calling me in that situation. It was still completely unprofessional of me to say what I said to him. Obviously, he wasn't a big fan of what I said, and after a small rant of his own, ended with the sentences that made this whole story possible. He said, "You've got a pretty good gig at this company that most people your age would be thankful for. I'd be impressed if you could find a better job in this field because I've been doing this for 30 years and I know how small this industry is, and trust me, good jobs like yours don't come along very often. Think about it." So we ended the call, and I did what he said. I thought about it. After thinking about it for 30 seconds, I got out of bed, sat down in front of my computer, and started looking at job postings. 5 weeks later, my time off came to an end, and on my first day back, I came into work, walked into my boss's office, and handed him a piece of paper. "Boss, what's this?" "Me. I thought about what you said about how you would be really impressed if I could find a better job than the one I have here. So I did." My boss reads over what I handed him. A job offer from a competitor for the exact same job I was performing, but at a 25% higher salary, an extra week of paid vacation compared to what I had, and a stipulation that company policy was that work hours are capped at 8 per day, meaning that once I hit 8 hours on a job, I pack up and leave it until tomorrow. No exceptions. "Boss, well then, can I have the day to crunch some numbers to come up with a counter offer?" "Me. No. Don't bother. I just wanted you to see it because I know you wouldn't have believed me otherwise." Gave my 2 weeks notice and left for whatever job site I was on that day. That was a year ago, and I could not be happier with my new job. I get to spend lots of time with my boy, and that's the best job perk there is. For all you bosses and managers out there, don't F with your employees, especially the good ones. Treat them how you'd want to be treated. Most employees don't quit their jobs, they quit their bosses. I love this. I absolutely love this because I know that these small independent businesses like this, they really do need to watch out and cut overhead and stuff. But if you're at a point where you're constantly pushing your employees to do overtime and pushing back their vacations, you're doing a very bad job. That's not cutting overhead. That is, just going to absolutely burn them out, and your business is probably going to fail. It's like if you don't calculate in treating your employees well and compensating them well for their work, they're eventually going to leave, and you're going to struggle to find new ones. And after a while, the quality of your work suffers, and your business goes under. So good for this person for finding a new job, and for a lot of you out there dealing with jobs that are truly treating you like garbage, I would encourage you to always be searching for something better, and going with the better thing, please, for your own sake. Story 6. Scammers want access to my PC. I turn the tables and start wiping their computers. A friend told me that this belongs here. I've read many a pro-revenge, and I think that this may or may not belong here, so mods, if it doesn't, just let me know and I'll take it down and put it wherever it might belong. Background. I got our home phone number long before cell phones were a common thing to have. As things have evolved, that number is part of my history and is utilitarian to use for things I don't want ringing on my cell phone, like 99% of anything that requires a phone number for no good reason. So I've kept that phone number alive over the years. Most recently, I moved it a few years back to an online service that charges a tiny amount of money per month to host it for me. I access it via a SIP client on my computer. The story. Because of the nature of the phone number, it randomly rings if I have time to mess with whomever is calling. Most of the calls are of the "your car warranty is about to expire" kind. Some of the calls are about non-existent credit cards. My favorite calls are the scammers. I record all calls that come in to this phone number. In my state, only one person needs to know that a call is being recorded, and besides, these scammers are all overseas, so I really don't care about their laws. So, when a scammer calls, I tend to answer and play along. Sometimes these calls last a few minutes before they give up on me. Today, I set a new record, a total of 1 hour of their time wasted. The call comes in as normal. I string the guy along, I play dumb, I keep them thinking I'm an easy target. After 40 minutes, I told him I had to hang up and could he call me back in an hour. To my surprise, this idiot calls me back. So I decided to see if I could get him to let me connect to him by continuing to play dumb. My plan is based on knowing that they have a handful of tools at their disposal, easiest of which is TeamViewer. So I play along until they get me on a TeamViewer, but I never give them the real information on my end, and I just ask for my partner ID. The idea is that with TeamViewer, you can switch who is showing the screen after you make the initial connection. I know that I have but a precious few seconds of time if I manage to get them to give me their ID and password to make my plan. So I have a dummy terminal set aside for all this. I quickly write out my set of commands so I can copy them to my clipboard and launch them as soon as I get connected. Sure enough, they give me their ID and password. I'm ready, and I strike. Paste the commands into a run window and let it rip. As I see the window pop up with the command prompt and the deletion of folders starts, the guy starts to stutter and ask, "What are you doing, sir?" I keep playing dumb until my connection is terminated. Files have been deleted. The scammer is peed. He starts to curse at me. I eventually start taunting him and cursing back at him. After a while, he hangs up. Look, I know that they have cloned systems and they'll be back up and running in no time at all, but this wasted an hour of their time, and that is an hour they can't use to scam someone else. Bravo. Bravissimo. I love it. Absolutely. Yes. Look. I have the tiniest little fraction of sympathy for scammers, because a lot of them are people who are really struggling and might see it as a, last resort or something to try and get some money. Who knows what they're going through? But that sympathy is gone because you're trying to ruin other people's lives. I've seen people usually elderly people who fall for these scams, who have their, finances ruined by these people. Old ladies and old men who, lose their retirements and stuff to these people. So, yeah, whatever small sympathy I might have for, whatever the scammers are dealing with, that all goes away immediately when all of their victims are suffering because of them. So, to this person who wasted some of their time and frustrated them and taught them that people can strike back, good on you. You're the hero we need or deserve. I never remember how that goes, but I guess you're internet phone scammer Batman. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.